Cheers.
Cheers. All right.
Flea, thanks. We're all good. Thanks for coming on Nick's Vancast.
No worries.
Welcome.
I like it. Nice little setup here.
Thank you. I'm psyched to do this with you. We're in Santa Cruz, California.
There we are.
Beautiful day out, and yet we're in a van. But we'll be out there afterward.
Yeah, no worries.
So, when I started doing this podcast, the whole goal was to talk to people who just had incredible, inspiring stories and are doing awesome stuff. And I thought, who better, hometown legend to talk to than Mr. Flea. So
appreciate it. Thank you.
Welcome. Feel free to introduce yourself.
Yep. Darryl, Flea, Virostko, from here in Santa Cruz County. I was born in 1971 at Dominican Hospital, and grew up on the west side surfing with all my friends, and just enjoyed growing up in such a special place. I've traveled the world, Africa to Indonesia, Japan, all these places, and I always, when I'm on the road or when I was on the road, I was always like, I can't wait to get home, and just because the waves are so good, and they're so close in proximity to each other. You can find waves all up and down the coast within this short range. This is like the cold water 7-mile miracle. As they say in Hawaii, the North Shore is a 7-mile miracle, which it is. It's amazing. I think we're very lucky here in Santa Cruz. It's such a special place to have all these different things. Not to mention, like where you grew up, Ben Lomond, you got redwoods, 5 minutes, 10 minutes from us. It's pretty rare for mountain biking and all those other sports. So.
Oh, absolutely. I loved growing up here. I didn't grow up in Santa Cruz City, but Ben Lomond's so close, and mountains, best of both worlds, ocean, mountains. Dominican Hospital, born as well, so cheers to that. But awesome. So surfing for you, how, was it just a natural thing? A lot of people in Santa Cruz surf, or what really brought you out to the waves?
Yeah, it was my dad and, my mom. They basically... my dad introduced me to surfing when I was 4 years old, and I loved it. It was so fun. And then it really started happening when my parents got a divorce when I was 8 years old. My dad actually lived up in Felton, and they got a divorce, and we went to my mom's full time. So she got a house right on the west side here in Santa Cruz, and met up with all these other kids that were kind of coming from broken homes as well. And we all just kind of surfed together and rode our bikes surfing, and just really just gelled in that environment. We just loved skateboarding and surfing. And I feel like that's when it really caught on, that I just wanted to do that the rest of my life.
Was it somebody in particular who brought you out for the first time, or you remember catching your first wave?
Well, it was my dad that introduced me to surfing. Yeah. But, back then in Santa Cruz, it wasn't like, I don't know. I don't feel like it was just one person, Everybody, the older guys back then were a little bit intimidating, It wasn't just like this cakewalk to, oh, sure, I'll bring you surfing, kids. There was a couple really nice guys, but I would have to say that Brenda and Craig Rogers were, she was the owner of Hotline Wetsuits back then, and that family kind of helped us out, kind of get in the water most of the time, though.
It's such a tight-knit community, Santa Cruz is, and then I'm sure surfing with your buddies is like, it becomes even more like a family.
Yeah.
What was that culture like for you when you started surfing, and when did you really know that this was going to be like a lifelong passion for you?
The surfing thing was just, we just loved it so much. We just wanted to be at the beach all the time, And I guess when I was in high school, when I first got my first sponsors, I was riding for Billabong and getting boxes of free clothes, and I was like, this is cool. You wait, you're at school, you're like doing your study, and you're thinking, I wonder if I'm going to get that box today. And then you come home and that big box of clothes on the doorstep, and it's like Christmas, for a kid. And so I think that was like the beginning of it for us, and it was like, oh, we could actually make money doing this, And once we realized that, then we just tried to get as good as we could, and surfed every day and pushed each other amongst friends every single day.
That's so sick, yeah. Were you like, at the time, even then, the best, like in high school, of all your friends?
No, we kids, tend to, like, you'll kind of just be stuck in a certain, part of your surfing for a little while. And then one of your friends will just like rise above and just start shredding. And you'll be like, wow, when am I going to, and then you'll make that jump too. So it's like, we're all just kind of going back and forth like this throughout, but there's definitely, different talents in the group, Yeah. Some like to charge big waves, some like to just surf small waves, and some like to do airs, and some like to just do turns, So it kind of weeded out in different ways that way. But we're all good surfers, amongst all of us. We're really, it seemed like we were all really pretty good surfers. So we were able to all make, money that way.
That's so sick. Yeah. And I didn't realize growing up that there were so many different facets to surfing: longboard, shortboard, airs. Yeah. There's so much to it. What was your particular style when growing up?
In the beginning, it was mainly just like, I wasn't so into like the contests, I was more into like the huge airs and doing tricks, like stuff that people can't do. Yeah. And focusing on aerial contests and expression sessions and things like that. And then as the big waves came in, then that's where I kind of really excelled. I was just like, just was really wanting that,
And big waves, I feel like, is such an understatement. They're massive, giant waves that you ended up surfing. What was that progression like for you from growing up surfing and loving it to then looking at something that's so big and saying, I'm going to give that a try?
Yeah, it was mainly, we grew up in Santa Cruz here at the Steamer Lane, and Middle Peak at Steamer Lane gets 15 feet. It gets big, especially when you're a kid, you're surfing those waves. They're huge waves. So like that was our practice spot, and we love to do it right there. So when Mavericks came about and we heard this wave was huge up north, we're like, we wanted to, check it out. And then at that point, when we saw those waves, we're like, oh, this is sick. These waves are insane. Like, it's unbelievable to see something like that, like in your backyard, And our physical shape was just top notch. You surf, whatever it is, 4 hours after school every single day, your body's in like good shape. And we were entering that era in such good shape. We were in our prime. When Mavericks came out, I was 20 years old. I was just out of high school, just like, it's on, So I feel like it was a lot to do with the timing as well of when it got kind of discovered.
It's just such an incredible wave. And I mean, the first time that I started surfing was when I was in middle school doing Santa Cruz Junior Guards there at Cowles. And, we'd be doing workouts every day. And then all of a sudden, it'd be pumping one day and the instructors would let us go out and take the foam paddleboards out and surf. And I wasn't very good at the time, and I couldn't really get up on the board. And they weren't even that big, like, 2-3 feet. And then all of a sudden you start paddling, and once you're out there, it feels even bigger. So then you're talking 15 feet. It's just a world of difference.
Yeah, that was just kind of our breeding ground at the lane,
Yeah, that's incredible.
So, yeah.
So you see this wave at Mavericks, and what was your initial feeling? Were you, scared? Were you just like psyched, like whatever, let's bring it on?
I wasn't even scared. I was just like, let's do this,
Yeah.
And for a lot of my two of my friends that day got pounded pretty hard, and I just like didn't. I just caught 10 waves. I was just like psyched. That's like felt really good, felt really comfortable. I was surprised, surprised I felt so comfortable. But after that point, it was just like, we were just on it,
Was that the first time you had gone out there?
Yeah.
Wow.
First time I went out there. Yeah. I was just like caught 10 waves, and I was just, when we were coming home, it's just, there's so much energy in something like that. When you accomplish something like that you're just you're high for hours afterwards, just because it's a life-threatening thing. Your adrenaline is just so high that you're just like in this high mode, and then just like listening to Metallica all the way back down the coast from Half Moon Bay for 45 minutes after is just like, it's insane. It was pretty fun, you know? Just the energy that you get from Mavericks, just paddling out there and seeing the energy is so addicting. So addicting.
I mean, they're mountain waves. It's insane. I remember catching a wave for the first time and you're rushing down the face of something and it's exhilarating. You know, it's like you can't really describe that feeling. When I caught a wave, I knew from that moment, it's like, there's nothing comparable to that. So rushing down something at Maverick.
Yeah, no, and you know, Maverick's it's not just riding down the wave, you know, it's the sound that the wave makes. It's the spit coming out of the barrel. It's like this thing, you're just like, oh my gosh, like it's like you're witnessing something just crazy, you know? And that's what probably I like the most about surfing is I tell these kids this all the time, like, hey, you made that wave's life right there, because that wave's gone after you rode it. These waves come from thousands of miles away and they break and then they're gone. You're their last little hope to catch them, you know?
I like that.
To ride them. And so it's like, it's really cool to look at like that, you know? And even like, maybe even talk to the wave sometimes, not like, you know, just joking around like, hey, come on, buddy, let's do this. You know, it's just fun stuff you can have fun in the water with, you know?
And you can tell it's your passion, you know, that's so cool that you're able to experience that and share that with others as well. So you surfed Mavericks for the first time. When was it, or how long after that do they start a competition out there?
Yeah, years had gone by, maybe 7 or 8 years surfing it. And then 99, you know, the first contest happened and it was pretty clear that we're all invited, you know, the guys that were charging it on a regular basis, you know.
99 was the first year. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And who won it that year?
Yeah. I won it 3 times in a row. Yeah. So it was good. Yeah.
That's amazing. So walk us through that first competition. You're going to this competition. Did you feel confident? Did you kind of have an inkling that I have a good chance of pulling this off?
I wasn't like thinking, I wasn't scared at Mavericks and I felt like really comfortable. So I just went out there and did what I usually do, catch waves, you know, stay active and catch waves. You know, it felt good to come out on top, especially with Richard Schmidt in the heat in the final and him finishing second. It felt pretty good because he was the guy. Richard Schmidt was the guy that we all looked up to, him and Vince Collier. But Richard was a really calculated big wave surfer from Santa Cruz. And we watched him constantly charging it in Hawaii and stuff like that. But he was in it, so it felt sick to actually like finish just above Rich, you know, and that felt pretty good, that first contest.
With him, was it like a level of competition? Was it competitive nature? Or were you guys friends at the time?
Oh, we're friends.
Yeah.
He's just like my role model, you know, someone I look up to. So in the heats and a lot of big wave surfing, it's not like, you know, the WSL where they're, you know, figuring out strategies and all that kind of stuff. It is a little bit. You have to wait for the bombs and stuff like that, but it's more of like a you know, brotherhood, I would say. You know, guys see you going, you know, they're not going to paddle for the same wave and stuff like that. So that's how it was in the lineup that day.
I feel like you'd have to have a level of camaraderie. You're doing this like insane thing together and making it through. How are those competitions judged? Is it dependent on the comp? And then how is Mavericks judged as well?
Yeah, well, they basically, your highest score is doubled. So it's basically 2 waves. You get 2 waves. So your highest score is doubled, and then your backup wave.
So they're judging it based on the height of the wave?
The height, where you take off on the wave, the critical nature of it, how you surf the wave, all those things, yeah. But mainly the biggest wave and the most critical spot will get the biggest score. Yeah.
So is that just by chance? Because, I mean, do you wait in line? It just so happens you get the big one?
No, it's, you know, yeah, it's just you got to get in the spot, you know what I mean? And if you're in the spot, then you're going. And it's usually in big wave surfing, it's a pretty big playing field. You know, Mavericks is one of those places where it's pretty tight, actually, the bowl, you know, because it's a reef break, because it's a slab. So it's a pretty tight area. But yeah, and then, you know, it's like guys don't want to go too sometimes when you're paddling for a 50-foot face and you're looking down and you're like, you know, you got to really want it. So.
Well, like I said, looking down a 3-foot face for me is pretty scary. So
Yeah.
Can you, if you can, walk us through in the best of your ability? I know you probably can't really describe what it's like looking down a face like that, but can you walk us through like the point of deciding to go for a wave through catching it?
Yeah, you just basically, you know, have to, when you see it coming and if you know, make sure that you're getting in the spot, you basically just got to commit in big wave surfing. You can't second guess yourself or, you know, so you just have to turn around and paddle and go and just commit to it. Even if you're going to just get donuts, you know, because there's so much things that could go wrong if you don't commit. You know, if you paddle for the wave as hard as you can and then pull back last minute, that next wave is 25-footer right on your head. You know, it's like there's situations where it's like it's almost more dangerous, you know, to like not commit. But you also have to be like almost like ignorant a little bit, like not like you just got to go and not be scared to like take the consequences, you know. And I think that that's what happens as surfers that surf big waves grow older and they get less confident, you know. And the young kids are just coming in and they're going, yeah, what it is, and it's rad to see. It's really cool to see. But I think that plays a really big part in big wave surfing, is just going and being okay with going and feeling comfortable getting those donuts and holding your breath and all those things, you know?
I'm like, can't imagine.
Yeah.
That's so insane because you have to kind of calculate your move so quickly, what you're going to do. But like you said, kind of clear your head, like, let's just go. And you can't second guess because it might be worse if you don't.
Yeah.
So you're up on top of this mountain about to come down. What do you see? What do you hear? What is it like?
Well, basically you just hear everybody just screaming, you know, go, and just like they want to see it, you know. And you just get to your feet and draw your line, and you know, once you get down once you make the drop, it's almost like you made the wave, you know. Sometimes it'll just take you out, but at least you'll be far enough in the channel just to get kind of washed through. But every wave's different. Every wipeout's different. Some wipeouts you can't breathe, you know. You got to climb the leash, you know. Especially for us back then, we didn't have air or flotation or anything like that. So we're climbing our leashes a lot and just trying to hold our breath as long as we could, you know.
Wow.
But it's one of those things. It's just, you know, it takes a lot of commitment to the craft and just like daily basis, just surfing, and that's how you get comfortable. If you don't surf for a while, if you like say, oh, I got injured or whatever, and I'm out for 6 weeks, you get back in the water. A lot of times it's your ability can be there eventually again, like, but it's a timing thing. Paddling for the waves, feeling comfortable where you're at, taking off. That's what's difficult. So if you're surfing on a regular basis and your timing's good and all that, then you feel way more comfortable in big surf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's absolutely epic when you make it through, you know, you surf the wave. When you do end up bailing, like you said, every time you bail is different. What's that like underwater? Because I remember falling on smaller stuff again, like I said, and it is like that washing machine effect where you're just getting tumbled and disoriented. So something 30 times bigger, 40 times bigger. What's that like?
It's basically just like you're getting ragdolled, you know, basically falling down elevator shafts and just like getting beat around pretty hard. And then you're deep, you know, then you're 20, 25 feet deep and you have to swim up to the surface, and you're just hoping that there's not a big whitewash just right in your mouth when you take that first breath, you know? So it's like staying calm in those situations is critical. And I think it can play out in all different size surfs. You can't do anything about it. The wave has a hold of you. If you fight it, you're just going to lose energy. I felt like I was pretty comfortable staying calm in those types of situations, and it helped me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So
you just kind of got to go with it because you're not going to overpower the ocean.
No, it's going to do what it wants with you. And then once you feel like, oh, okay, I can swim now, like then you go up.
Wow.
You know?
I'm sure there was a lot of times when you were running out of breath.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. A couple times where it was just like, I'm going to pass out. Yeah, for sure. But I'm happy that I don't do that anymore, actually.
Yeah.
You know, I'm in a place now with the family and stuff like that. It's like, it's really fun to see that new generation kind of tackling Mavericks.
Oh yeah, it's still just as impressive. But you went back and you won it 2 more times after the first year.
Yeah,
that's amazing. I recently watched that movie, The West Siders. That's just, I think you called your dad at one point, right, and said, "I'm gonna win today." Like it was that type of confidence. I think that's so amazing that you followed this passion of yours, and then you succeeded to a point where you knew that you had that ability.
Yeah.
What is that like, choosing something to do as a profession and then becoming so good at it that you feel confident and you can, continue to push yourself and excel?
Yeah, it just felt really good to like just go to all the way to that level to the top, and not think about like, oh, I got to win this, the 3rd time. I don't feel like I was thinking like that. I feel like I was just thinking like, I'm just ready to do this, and I know where to sit, and and it happened, and it felt like I had a really good relationship with Mavericks. I wasn't greedy. I wasn't trying to surf in the morning and then surf in the afternoon and surf out at Mavericks and get as many waves as I could. I would like to surf Mavericks, pick my session, surf for 2, 3, 4 hours, whatever it was, and then be done for the day and be good. And I treated it, Mavericks, whatever you want to call it, as respect. Thank you. That was fun. Like, I'm going to walk away, because I've had those days where I've almost died in the rocks and in situations, So it was more of like I felt like I had a relationship with Mavericks, and that was the same way with the contest. I was like confident that I could catch the waves, and I was confident that they would send them to me.
Okay.
As well,
So thinking back to this film, this is the height of your surfing career, right? You're sponsored. The next year, are you back at Mavericks and you don't place, or what happened next?
No, basically, I went to the Eddie Aikau in Hawaii in 2004, and that was after I won the Mavericks contest, and I hurt my knee. A wave landed on me, and I tweaked my knee. So that next year, I wasn't in the Mavericks contest, so the next guy won, Anthony Tasnik. And I think that was kind of the start of my, just partying and drinking and, doing drugs and just starting to get crazy, just more drinking mainly, but then it all progressed,
So out in Hawaii, I mean, it wasn't like a small spill. You had a major wipeout, right?
Well, yeah, it was in the big wave contest at Waimea Bay, and I got one huge wave and jumped and off the top of it, and I didn't get hurt on that wave, but I went back out there and I got another wave, and I was gonna pull into the barrel, and I could see it was gonna clamp, so I tried to go down and around it, and the lip landed on my knee, and I was done. So I had to, I was done from that contest, and I was hurt. So I just basically came home, and I was just basically I felt pretty I all I knew was surfing and surf every day. So being home hurt, I was just it was tough,
Did you know how long you were going to be out for? What was the progression into, partying and spending time doing that?
Well, it's once you reach a certain level, and I think I was, pretty popular amongst people. And so I had a house, and everybody wanted to hang out and that kind of stuff. And that's kind of where you can go down the wrong rabbit hole, really. And everybody wants to just hang out and be your friend and drink and party and go crazy, and it's fun when you're that age and you have money and cars and houses, and it's like it's easy to get distracted, from your true passion and what got you there in the first place.
So how long would you say that type of party scene and lifestyle was going on before you realized that this was taking a toll on your relationships and on surfing?
It took a while. Basically by, partying and drinking and surfing, got back in the water, I was psyched again. And then, 2007, I just started blowing it. I feel like I started really, started smoking meth and just like being an idiot, and when that happened, that was like when it really got a hold of me, and I was like, oh geez, this has got me. And that was kind of scary, just like knowing that something has you and you like it so much that it's going to ruin you, So yeah, that was tough.
Do you remember, or can you guess as to why, like, the progression of partying led down the road to, doing meth and then kind of losing sight of that career in surfing?
It's just basically the party scene, and people bring drugs over and this and that. And it's easy to get into those late night parties, and just it's hard to kick out, and you just never know what I knew once, because everyone drinks and goes and does coke, and that's how it is. Youngsters in Santa Cruz or wherever, that's where you kind of start. And then the progression of other drugs comes in. And for Santa Cruz, I felt like that was an era when meth came in. It's just like I mentioned before about how we were in really good shape. It was perfect timing for Mavericks. It's the same with meth. Meth came into Santa Cruz and started circulating through kind of the surfers and different people. And that was a timing thing as well, and I don't feel like that's not happening these days, which is really cool. It kind of just went through us, and it's still here, clearly, but I feel like it was just like new for us. So we wanted to try it, and we felt like you smoke meth, you're psyched and, all this stuff. You want to do crazy stuff and stay up all night. And I feel like having that Mavericks and charging, like, we got that free adrenaline, the natural adrenaline from Mavericks, So the meth at night was just like we like to do it and to feel like different, And I feel like it came through Santa Cruz and kind of took out some people. So
there was an overlap period of time when you were surfing Mavericks and using drugs at the same time, or? No, I wasn't. I didn't like surfing on meth. It wasn't helping my surfing at all. I would just basically smoke meth and go hide and go look for shells and like driftwood and do crazy weird shit. So I just quit surfing, and I was just kind of lying to my sponsors, like, yeah, I'm surfing every day or whatever, and I was just basically turning into a piece of shit, So didn't help my surfing. It basically took my career away. It's not like a performance thing with Mavericks or with meth. Meth is a distraction for everything. And I'm so glad that it's done. What was the tipping point where you realized that something had to change? Was it, various sponsors dropping, or was there a moment when you were like, something's got to change? It was mainly, I knew deep down in myself, like, I have a problem, and it's crazy to think that I actually made the decision to go get help, for myself. But like, sponsors, they were kicking off too, they were figuring it out and talking to people and stuff like that. And all said and done, when I did go to treatment, I came out of treatment with no sponsors, no money, and I had to like start over and figure out how I can do this again, So yeah, I mean, yeah, you lose everything when you start making those bad decisions, and
you got to realize that what got you there, and it takes so much effort to stay there, you know, and especially these days, there's so many good surfers and stuff like that. Like, you got to be at the top of your game.
There was an article about falling in Davenport. I don't know if you can speak to that at all.
Yeah, no, that was another part that, you know, I fell off the cliff and broke my arm, and I still wasn't done, you know. I had a broken arm, so I was like, I can't do anything, can't surf, can't do anything. So I'm going to, you know, keep smoking meth, you know. And so that was, yeah, that's just another example of just like, I was dehydrated. I passed out climbing a huge cliff and fell off, you know, and these are all things that happen when you're making those bad decisions, you know. But I'm lucky to be here today and like to survive something like that and realize that, you know, it was those decisions that got me there. And that's another feeding purpose to go forward in life, is just to remember those things and go, you know, all those things happen for one reason, is bad decisions, and thankful for where I'm at now because of those things, though, you know.
Do you think that, you know, people have to go through, you know, these traumatic experiences in order to come out on the other side of addiction and go to get help? Or are there ways to come out on the other side without, you know, the help of other people supporting you?
I feel like it's really in each person, how strong of a person they are. I think I was I felt like if I wanted to do something, I was going to do it. And that was the same with recovery. I didn't want to, I don't want to be just like, yeah, sometimes I'm sober, you know, I want to be all the way, you know, and I set high standards for myself. You know, people say, oh, just one day at a time, which is great for different people. But like, I want to do 20 years and that's my goal from day one. I'm doing 20 years sober, and I'll probably do more, clearly. But that was my initial goal, you know, and it's been almost 14 years, so it's going by pretty quick. But I feel like there's tools for people, you know. The whole Narcotics Anonymous helps, you know, AA, having some structure. That was all helpful in the beginning for my recovery as well. But for me, nature is probably the most helpful thing for my recovery, and doing that on a daily basis, you know, if I have a window to do some surfing or something, bike ride, just get out there and do it. And that's, I guess, could be some advice for people that are listening to this podcast too, is like, find something you love, find something, anything, art, tennis, hiking, fishing, anything that's a healthy thing, and just like make it part of your life again, you know, if you're struggling with something, you know. And it's so helpful, and it'll change your whole mindset around nature. Is a culprit for doing those kind of things, you know. And we live in such special places, you got to just explore a little bit. Absolutely.
Well, congratulations on 14 years. That's incredible.
Yeah.
First of all, so
amazing. Well, it's 13 years.
13 years.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
One of your supporters was Jack ONeill.
Yeah.
What did he do that really helped you during this time as well?
Yeah, Jack was, my mom was Jack's personal assistant for a number of years. And the ONeill family kind of grew up with us, with the Virostko family. We're, you know, my uncle was really good friends with some of the ONeills. And so it was a pretty, you know, our families knew each other. And so when Jack heard that I was going to rehab, he helped out and donated a little bit of money to help me through rehab. So that felt pretty good, knowing that someone like that actually wants to help someone like me. Felt good, you know. And yeah, we're all here in Santa Cruz together, you know, and if we could help each other, then, you know, why not?
I love that. It's like a team effort. It's this community support, and then it's also being able to access these amazing nature places around us. And now you're able to share that with other people. Can you tell us a little bit about what you have going on with FleaHab?
Yeah, no, FleaHab's just sober living environment, and I try to motivate them as much as I can to like find something that they can do on a daily basis, passion wise, to utilize their day and get tired. And it's just you know, it's a nice house, and I just help 6 people at a time with the house manager, and it's small, and I like it that way. I feel like people can really kind of get to know each other well and stuff like that. And it's just been fun being a part of the whole thing, and I got to just thank the community of Santa Cruz and the world for supporting me and helping me with donations through the nonprofit FleaHab, and basically everyone comes together. Like Jack came for me, like the community totally supports what I'm doing, and that feels really good. And in that way, I can help other people through what I've learned in recovery. So
that's so amazing, and I especially love stories like this because it's somebody you're somebody who did it, who figured it out, and living sober, and you could have just said, I'm living sober now, this is great, and I'm going to go surf. But you're using your story to help others. You're using the tools and the skills you have to help others do that same thing. I think that's so amazing. What type of fulfillment does that bring you when you're able to help people realize the things that you also got to realize?
Yeah, just like checking in with people, and people check in with me years later and tell me their progress and what they're doing and how they're seeing their family, and they found a wife, and like all these crazy, cool, good things happen to people. And I find fulfillment from just knowing that people are actually using what I'm helping them with to succeed in life and be their best self. That's what's the rewarding thing about this, and also being there for someone in such a lonely time. Sobriety can be a lonely time when you feel all alone, just because you have to kind of step away from those friends that are bad influences, and it's hard to like talk to people in party settings and stuff sober because you haven't done it your whole life. So I understand what it's like, from being there. So it's fun to support people that way, and give them my advice, on situations and how it helped me to do certain things a certain way,
That's amazing. Yeah. And you're taking people out doing active things. Surfing is still a main part of that, right?
Yeah. It's fun, and I have some great jobs. I work with the camp recovery kids up in Scotts Valley, and I'll be teaching surf lessons with them tomorrow with Richard Schmidt. He's my partner in that, and it's really cool. It's these kids get a lot out of it, and the thing that made me feel like really good one day is this girl, after we surfed for a couple hours, she said, when we were walking back to the car, she said, I feel like I'm on drugs. And it felt really good to hear that because she had just done something. Her body was paddling and getting tired. So a lot of these kids take pills that kind of make them feel down, like, relaxed, and so just naturally she felt like she was on drugs. She was tired. And that was a really cool thing to hear from her because she was experiencing this tingly body feeling that she usually identifies with drugs, in a different way, a healthy way. And that's what's so cool is really, listening for those moments that you could actually project some thought and some helpful things into these young kids that are struggling, So situations like that is really meaningful.
That is amazing. It's saving lives. It's changing lives, saving lives. That's so incredible.
Yeah.
You mentioned the surf scene kind of is changing in a way. I think I read something where you mentioned, it is transitioning a bit. I don't know if it's just Santa Cruz or everywhere where it is a bit more of like that healthy living surf train culture. Do you think that's changing on a large scale?
I think for the most part, like beach areas, surf towns, everyone's having beers and stuff like that. After you surf, they have their coolers and beers. That's always going to be like that. In these beautiful settings, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. But I feel like there's so many kids surfing now, and it's a healthy environment for them. And this is everywhere. This is from San Clemente all the way up and down the coast of California. I'm sure it's the same way on the East Coast, but went through an era in Santa Cruz where it was kind of like, it wasn't like that, It was kind of a weird, wonky era for a while there. And so like guys like Nat Young were like the only guy that was like elevated in surfing in that era, like there was only a couple kids coming through the ranks that were really good, and nowadays surfing the lane, and there's so many kids, not only boys, but girls too, so many girls, and they're just shredding. And I was leaving surfing the other day, and I surfed till like dark, and I was like walking out of the water, and I was walking by the railing back out to the point where I parked my bike, and I remember by the stairs, like just bikes locked up, still locked up, and that's where all the kids, all the kids were still in the water. And that made me feel really good. I love to drive by the lane and just like look at the fence and just see all the locked bikes, that makes me feel good, So I feel like it's a really good era in Santa Cruz, and they have a lot of support from the older guys. Their parents, are supporting them. It's a difficult thing to actually make a career out of surfing these days. So there's a lot of pipe dreams out there with the kids, and the parents and all that. But man, it's just so cool to see a healthy batch of kids coming through every surf town in California.
And like I said, there's really nothing like it, because even if you're not going to go pro, if you think you're going to go pro, it's like a healthy thing to do. You're working out.
Yeah.
It's amazingly fun. It's like I said, just surfing at Cowell's, it's like I remember catching my first wave, and it's like, let's do another. And it's like, I can see how people surf till dark and go all day, and it's this amazing feeling.
Yeah. If you got a window, and you got to just make use of that window. And I think as you get older, and you have more responsibilities and jobs and kids and all that kind of stuff, like those windows don't just get unused. You're like, what? It's like southwest wind at 15 knots and 2 feet. I'm going.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter, And in the same aspects, in those, when you're surfing, and you're surfing regardless of the conditions and stuff like that, you're still keeping up with your timing, So when you do get in the water and you have one of those windows that's perfect, your body's feeling good. Your timing's on. You're going to be catching the waves and stuff like that. So, that's how I look at it.
Yeah. And these kids are so good. When I started surfing, it wasn't until, late college. And by that time, I think anybody can pick up surfing. But I think when you start that young age, you have such an advantage.
Yeah.
I remember going out trying to surf the lane, and kids are like, get out of the way, and you don't know what you're doing. And I was probably in over my head, but I remember getting this way too short board for myself at one of the small shops there off of Portola and 41st. I forget the name of the shop. But they sold me this like 6 foot like green short board, and I just took it out to Steamer Lane and just ate it. I'm like, I'm gonna get up, and then just woof, the board comes out, and you wipe out, and again, people are like, wasted wave. They're mad at you getting in the way.
It can be tough out at the lane. You know? And it's like one of those spots where you just kind of, you could have like a really bad session one day and like just frustrated, and waves are going the other way, and you're just in a bad circulation. And the other days you're just always in the spot, and you're like, oh, okay, I'll go again. So just one of those things.
It wasn't until I had like a mentor bring me out to Cowell's with the wave storm, and it's like, oh, you got to start a little bit in a different spot. You got to work up to, these different boards and different spots.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite place that you surfed? Would you say Mavericks? Would you say elsewhere?
The lane is probably always going to be one of my favorite places, just because I grew up here and the waves are so fun and it's always consistent. But I like to surf up the coast a lot. I like to get places where there's not a lot of crowds and stuff like that, and go look for waves a little bit. It's more about just the whole kind of like the whole procedure of surfing these days, getting a hot water bottle, put it in the car, going up, finding waves, surfing, changing in such a nice environment, like looking at the waves while you take your wetsuit. It's just like the whole experience is nice for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's more of a relaxing, just for fun experience these days. And I feel very fortunate about that, because a lot of those years for my surfing career and surfing was just, because I had sponsors and I had to do this, and I had to go get photos, and I felt like it was just like, oh, go this way, that way, this way. And now it just feels good to just like do it because I want to do it and I love it. And it's always been, I guess, before, because I want to do it, but now it's just so much more relaxing and enjoyable.
That's so cool that you found your passion and you still get to do that. It's something you don't have to compete to do to still enjoy.
Yeah.
Do you have advice for people who say, how do I start surfing, or how do I even go pro? What do you tell people when they come to you with either of those questions?
Yeah, it just depends. I mean, going pro is a whole different deal. I think you start by just surfing a lot, and see how you go. But I think if you're going to, if you're going to start surfing, probably take a lesson, by someone and just get some knowledge on kind of the ins and outs of different breaks and stuff like that helps a lot. And if you want to start surfing, then you need to like understand it's like a lifelong commitment. It's like I want to go surfing. Once you go surfing, you're just like, oh, I kind of want to go surfing again. So it's like something that it's going to stick to you probably, and so you got to make sure that that's what you want to do.
And then on another point of advice that you could give people, because again, your story is incredible. What you're doing with FleaHab is amazing. Do you have advice for people who are still, held by addiction, who are ready to make a change, or they're not sure? What would you tell somebody who says, I'm curious about changing things for myself?
It's funny because one of my friends came to me and he said, like, I think I have a problem. I go, yeah, you do. and he's been sober ever since. And, it's just like, I would just say, just like, try it a different way. Don't have this like, oh, I'm going to quit drinking forever. And like, you can't look at it like that. You got to just be like, I want to just try to like do life a different way and see how I feel, and like not drink for a while, not drink and do drugs, and just try to be, see how I feel. And just try to get into it like that, and start asking for those people to help, and if you need help to reach out and stuff, because a lot of people just are scared to reach out and stuff like that, and once you do, you just realize that there's so many people that want to help you, So I just have to say, just like dig deep in that chest of yours of like things that you used to like to do, and figure out which one you want to start doing again, and just like do it, and then see where it takes you.
Amazing. I think you've been inspiring people for a long time. You're going to continue to do that. Before we go, I got to ask you, Flea, where did the name come from? Yeah,
no, it was because I was surfing Big Middle Peak at Steamer Lane, and I looked like a little flea on a wave, and the older guys, hey, look at Flea, he looks like a flea, and then everyone was standing around, and it stuck. And I probably didn't help that because I didn't like it. So I was like, what? Fucking Flea, what are you talking about? And then once you start doing that, it's just going to stick.
And then you went and surfed bigger and bigger waves too.
I did, and then it's fine, and I grew to like my nickname, and it is what it is,
Thanks you so much for doing this with me, sharing your story, because again, like I said, you're helping so many people, not just in Santa Cruz, but all over the world. It's amazing to see what you've done, and again, it's awesome for me, growing up and hearing about Flea, the legend Flea, and here we are, chatting. So thanks for doing this and for all you've done for the community.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on your show. It's a cool concept, and let's all help each other, and we all have something to give, and everybody needs help. So let's just share that.
Amazing.
Cool.
Flea, thank you so much.
No worries.
Feel like I'm at the tippy top of my game, looking down at the rap.